And equipment manufacturing, of course, like a lot of equipment, you're maintaining them on a consistent basis. So that's a huge revenue stream for these companies.
And there's another layer, Andy. Equipment could mean a lot of different things. Here they are talking about office equipment. Office equipment, and generally office equipments are going to be connected with the internet, so they are going to have very different processes.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our number one priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. And if you're joining for the first time, this is part of our industry series for which we meet every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. We review one vendor or the solution. For today, we have another solution as part of the field service series, which is ServiceMax. So we are going to have a lot of fun discussing that. Before we do that, we are going to start with everybody's intros. I am going to start with my quick intro. Sam Gupta, principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent ERP and digital transformation consulting firm. Andy, on that note, would you like to introduce yourself next?
Oh, thank you so much, Sam. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Andy Pratico. I've been involved with ERP software for manufacturers all my life. I've worked all over North America with manufacturing companies, and I actually teach manufacturers on how to uncover the truth about ERPs before they buy. So I'll pass it back to you, Sam.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Andy. I'm going to start with the quick briefing of this particular solution. So overall, Andy, I don't know how many you have attended as part of this series. These are the field service solutions. So here the competitors are going to be Service Titan that we have already reviewed. And I think your ticker is working, so I'm actually going to switch that off. Still working. Okay. So now that is moved out of our way. So yeah, so Service Titan we have already reviewed. We have also reviewed Service Power. Service Titan was one of the hottest SaaS. I don't know if you remember that or not.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Service Power was slightly different. I mean, they had patented technology. And their business model was slightly different. They also had the managed services. So here, ServiceMax is very unique as well. They are primarily in the Salesforce ecosystem. And originally, they were sort of the field service solution on Salesforce platform, but now Salesforce is trying to introduce their own service cloud, so they are kind of in competition with these guys as well. But it is really built on top of Salesforce or Force.com platform. You are also going to find a little bit of synergies here with respect to Service Power. So then you would realize why Service Power is so powerful, Andy. Even ServiceMax, which is again a very powerful force in the Salesforce ecosystem. Too much power, too much force, I guess there.
The list of competing technologies is an interesting one. Certainly, IFS has always been good, and Dynamics, Microsoft Dynamics has been good in the service industry. The other ones are interesting choices.
Yeah, so great comment and great observation as well. So for the most part, I think during Service Titan, we had discussed that field service overlaps with the CRM offering. That's why the majority of the CRM vendors have some sort of field service offering as well. Even though IFS is not necessarily a CRM vendor, but they still have field service. Their field service play is slightly different. The reason why Microsoft has field service play, again, primarily because of that CRM play. Because CRM was always their slightly bigger market share, I would say.
Absolutely, yep.
Right, and then field services is big for them. And with field service, generally, it is going to have many different interfaces, devices. So even though you are not necessarily interacting with customers. In certain spaces you might actually interact with your customers as well, because you are doing kind of EDI integration. That we noticed with Service Titan, they don't necessarily use EDI, but in their case they are still going to have that EDI integration, or kind of EDI integration with the customers that they might be working with, especially if they have to integrate with their systems. They are going to get the lead, they are going to do the job, service, whatever they might be doing. So that was the play that we saw with Service Titan. ServiceNow is a very interesting offering as well, but they are primarily the technical platform. So they are not necessarily comparable, but they definitely are present in these spaces, especially if customers are going to look for either IT-centric workflows. ServiceNow is very deep into that, and if they are going to have slightly more customized needs, and they are looking for just one platform to accommodate all of this, including your IT workflows and field service workflows, there are going to be some enterprises, especially telco, IT, media-centric companies, they are going to use ServiceNow as well. Andy, to your comment, the other ERP vendors that we have on this list, Epicor, Infor, SAP, Oracle, ECI. So every one of them have very different positioning as well as offering. For example, the reason why Epicor is present here is Epicor is going to have certain ERP systems which are going to have very deeply integrated or embedded experience with field service. As such, they don't um, their field service component is not going to be present with solutions such as your Kinetic or Profit 21.
Which ones do have the service with Epicor, Sam?
Those are going to be Bistrack, Lumbertrack. Eclipse
Okay,
is
gotcha.
probably going to have, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. That
So
makes much
they are slightly smaller offerings, but they have a little bit of field service play in those spaces. Infor is very interesting as well. Infor is going to have the manufacturing twist, and whenever you are going to have field service combined with manufacturing, that's where your Infor is going to be handy. Here, the overlap is going to be with solutions such as your Acumatica. Acumatica does have your manufacturing, construction, and field service overlap, so that's why construction generally is going to have some sort of field service play in the general. Some manufacturing companies also have that, but in general, it's a very different functionality, different play. Oracle has had very interesting presence in this particular space. So Oracle, for the most part, they are going to be in the public services space, and there the field service play is very, very,
that's the
very, very different.
Fusion product, correct?
So in the Fusion product as well, there are many different offerings. I mean, they also have last mile functionality, even though a lot of people are going to argue that Oracle, SAP, they are not going to have last mile functionality. But Oracle does have a
Well,
lot of
they say they do.
well, so it's not just saying. I mean, I'm not talking about just the marketing claims. I'm talking about the real capabilities. So they have last mile capabilities. They
Yeah.
have very strong last mile capabilities for construction. They have very strong last mile capabilities for public sector. They have very strong, last mile capabilities for construction. Media, telecom, I'm pretty sure they are going to have a lot. Energy, utility, they always had very strong presence in those spaces, so they are going to have there. ECI is very interesting as well. Here ECI is going to be their market share, or the market presence is very similar to your Apicor, especially in spaces such as your lumber, electrical, all of those spaces. ECI is going to have smaller logos. Apicor is going to have slightly bigger logos.
Do you know the ECI products that you're referring to? Which ones they are?
There are many of them.
I know they've got tons.
Tons. So from the field service perspective, I mean, I would not be able to name them right now.
Okay, sorry for putting you on the spot.
No worries at all. I think we have reviewed those. We probably need to go back and review which ones were present in the sort of they were comparable to your Epicor, Bistrack, Lumbertrack. I don't know. I think ECI Spruce. That's my understanding. Spruce was the product.
Oh yes, I remember that one. Yep.
Yeah. So they are probably present in these spaces comparable to your Epicor. So here, the overarching position from your ServiceMax perspective, they are going to be present in very similar spaces where your IFS, of the world is going to be present. So, which is your asset-centric, product-centric field service. That's how they like to define. Service Titan had very different positioning. In their case, they were trying to position themselves to slightly more residential services. So, residential services are not necessarily going to be your product-centric spaces. Service Power had very unique positioning as well. They were trying to go after insurance primarily. I think that was their major market share. And for insurance, the field service capabilities are going to be very different. Here, I would say, when you talk about the asset centric or product centric, the best comparison here is probably going to be Infor. Infor is present in your product centric field service. IFS is kind of there, but Infor is probably the best comparison here, where you are going to have the product centric, asset centric field service. And this is where companies such as your medical device, Salesforce has major presence in those spaces. So that's why ServiceMax is definitely going to be there. Generally, Salesforce is going with ServiceMax in those accounts, as well as the industry. So, overarching background is that they started as an ISV in the Salesforce ecosystem, and for example, in the Salesforce ecosystem as well, the kind of collaborators that you are going to find, Rootstock, which is the ERP solution for manufacturing, they will go with Rootstock a lot. Rootstock is very well penetrated in the medical device engineer to order spaces, and that's where you are going to find a lot of presence for ServiceMax. So they go together. Compliance Quest is the quality solution as part of your Salesforce ecosystem. So again, for the most part, the total stack that you're going to find in the Salesforce ecosystem, that is going to be your Rootstock plus Compliance Quest plus ServiceMax plus Salesforce CRM. This is generally the stack that they are going with. There are other offerings such as your PLM is going to be built on top of Salesforce as well. So they are all going together, and they are claiming that, hey, I'm going to have everything built on top of Salesforce. So you are going to get unique experience. Now, I don't know how that generally flies with the companies, but at least you are going to get the experience. Now, some more context here from the industry perspective. We have medical device, energy. So energy is going to have a little bit of overlap. I would say in this particular case, it's probably going to be IFS, where they are going to have overlap in the energy industry. Then public sector, they are going to have overlap with Oracle. Mining, SAP has big presence, but again, SAP has field service as well, but they are not going to be as strong as some of the other solutions that we have on this list. Oil and gas, I would say IFS is probably going to have presence there as well. So that's where I guess ServiceMax is playing too. So they are going to have big competition there. Insurance, probably competition is going to be Service Power. Now, the synergy that I had mentioned with Service Power. So this is the patented technology that I was talking about, and that's why they had patent, because even companies such as your ServiceMax, they are trying to use Service Power. Obviously, ServiceMax is going to be slightly bigger company. Service Power is going to be smaller companies, but they are using their technology just because they have that patent for the scheduling, which is a major component overall in the field service workflows. The other things that we have not discussed so far, I guess, when you combine CRM with your Industry 4.0 workflows, that is going to be a very unique architecture. So far, Service Titan is not going to be present in your Industry 4.0 use cases. Service Power is probably not going to be present there. ServiceNow is making waves in moving to Industry 4.0 spaces. So that's where ServiceNow is probably going to be competing with ServiceMax. You are going to find a little bit of IFS in the Industry 4.0 space. Infor obviously is going to be there, but Infor does not have as strong Industry 4.0 or MES capabilities, at least as of today. They are trying to integrate that. I don't know where that sits at this point of time. They have not done any sort of major announcement whether they have integrated their MES that they had bought with their solutions. The asset management, preventive maintenance, again, they are probably going to overlap with IFS in this particular space. And the omni-channel experience, I think we have discussed this, that this is going to be prevalent with most of the field service centric solutions, just because you have many different devices, you have many different personas that you are trying to cater as part of your field service workflows. That's why the whole omni-channel experience becomes handy as well. Sometimes it's very hard for ERP systems to be able to satisfy that, and the reason for that is because they are going to have legacy technologies, and they were not necessarily designed for this omni-channel experience, catering to many different devices. Sometimes companies such as your Infor, Epicor, all of the slightly more legacy vendors, they are going to have different mobile apps, but those mobile apps are not necessarily natively embedded as part of the code base. Companies such as your Rootstock, they are going to have the mobile apps embedded as part of their code base. So that's where the real distinction is in a general. But in this particular space, that's why the CRM vendors like to go in these spaces. Number one, the field service architecture is very different, because with field service architecture, sometimes you require that decoupled architecture, because if you are going to integrate your ERP workflows with the field service workflows, sometimes you require the speed, and that's why you cannot have that embedded architecture, and that's why you probably need best of breed dedicated solution. That's why companies such as your Microsoft, they are going to have best of breed solution. So this is a very, very, very similar example as your CRM. The reason why CRM needs to be slightly more best of breed, field service has similar layers. Comments, Andy?
No, not at all. Thank you, Sam.
Of course. So I'll keep moving here. So this is coming from one of their press releases. So this is going back in time from 2008. So obviously they were very, very, very tightly coupled with Salesforce. So this is coming from Dreamforce conference, which is the flagship event for Salesforce. So here they are talking about, announced that Maxplore has been named the winner of the Force.com $1 million challenge. And what is going on? Maxplore is the provider of ServiceMax, a comprehensive on-demand service chain and field service management solution. So Maxplore was the company, ServiceMax was the solution that they were trying to commercialize. And this was in 2008, they became really hot in the Salesforce ecosystem. Built and delivered as a 100% Force.com native application, ServiceMax helps customers drive all aspects of post-sales service delivery. So they are talking about post-sales service delivery, and this is generally going to be relevant in very, very, very expensive capital equipment space, and that's where Rootstock is really strong. That's where you are going to have these scenarios of post sales. Sometimes you are going to have this in the aftermarket space as well. I don't know how well they do in the aftermarket space, but for the most part, this is going to be in those capital equipment, medical device, very, very, very large equipment that are going to have field service play after you have done the sale. So it's interesting. I mean, Andy, overall, if you look at from the timeline perspective, this is in 2008. Salesforce started in 1999. So this is like what, 9 years, I would say, that they were present in their ecosystem, which is a big deal. And they were really hot. So obviously they have been there for a very, very, very long time. Okay, so here's some more comments. ServiceMax dovetails into the Salesforce CRM call center application. And again, call center is very CRM centric workflow. So that's why CRM, field service, they sort of go hand in hand. That's the reason why companies such as your Salesforce, Microsoft, they are in this space, because your call center experience is going to be really important in these use cases. Application to drive all aspects of post-sales service delivery and management, including entitlement verification, configuration management, field service engineer management, dispatch management, service inventory management, and depot repair. Now, even though these guys are going to have these capabilities, I would say the integrating that with an ERP application is probably going to be extremely challenging. I don't know how successful companies are. Obviously, you need to bring a lot of data inside this to be successful with this. For example, let's say if you look at entitlement verification, that means just for the entitlement verification, you are probably bringing a lot of data from the BOM perspective. If you are doing this from the capex perspective, you need to get all of that. You need to get warranty data. You need to, obviously, the customer data is probably going to be there, but you need to bring a lot of data to be able to do this. Now, entitlement verification may still be okay, but when you look at configuration management, now for configuration management as well, you are probably getting the entire equipment. Field service engineer management may be okay because you are sort of keeping this siloed. So field service engineer management may not overlap with your manufacturing. But for example, let's say if your resources are going to be shared between your manufacturing and field service, good luck with that, because then these guys are going to be touching two different systems. In a lot of cases, sometimes companies do have that. So you are going to have completely disconnected state from your manufacturing to your field service. And that's where I feel that integrating this is going to be extremely challenging. Dispatch management might be okay because this is a very siloed function that belongs to your field service. So if you are keeping inside your field service app, that's not such a terrible idea. Even in the case of ERP, the field service scheduling and dispatch functionality is going to be fairly isolated. And ND, from your experience, I don't know if you have ever seen the field service scheduling workflow correlating with your production scheduling workflows. I don't know if you have seen that.
Yeah. Well, the Infor product has that capability, but yes.
I don't know if its scheduling is completely different. I mean, so we have reviewed this in a lot of different ERP systems. Typically, the scheduling is completely siloed, meaning the scheduling function for your manufacturing
That's
is
very, yeah. You know what? Second thought, that is quite possible. It depends on if the service staff is going to be the same as your manufacturing staff.
in some cases we have seen that, especially for the smaller companies, they do have
Right.
that, and that
Yes.
becomes a challenge. So I don't know if this is more of the
I think you're right.
organizational change management issue, or if the bigger systems are going to have that. We were struggling with that with the smaller systems. We don't know if any systems are going to allow you to share the resources between your manufacturing and field service, but this might be okay, at least when you are going to have the smaller footprint. Then the service inventory management, service inventory is probably different, even in the case of your, even if you're going to keep this inside your ERP system. Sometimes they're going to share the inventory, but if you're going to have robust manufacturing systems, they generally have a separate inventory for service because it goes through very different workflow, it goes through very different quality processes. So again, keeping service inventory separate is not such a bad idea. Depot repair is, again, in my mind, when you do this in a siloed system, how are you going to correlate with your quality processes? That would be my challenge in doing this in a siloed system. But again, integration is always going to be challenging, just because the field service best of breed app, they have a lot more correlation with your manufacturing workflows. That's why keeping it separate sometimes becomes challenging, but depending upon what is your priority. If your priority is going to be that omni-channel experience, if your priority is going to be customer experience, and you need that disconnected state, then it might make sense to have field service workflows completely separate. But then integration is probably going to be challenging as well as expensive. Now, here they are saying ServiceMax inherit the security, customization, integration, and other benefits of the Force.com platform, as well as the reliability, scalability, and availability of Salesforce.com's trusted global infrastructure. Now, so you are saying that, okay, I'm going to inherit security, customization, integration. So security from the CRM perspective, inheriting that is not a bad idea. At least you have something there. But for the most part, when you look at the field service workflows, if you look at more from the GRC perspective, then you probably are going to require the permission sets as well as security from your ERP, just because the field service workflows are slightly more intertwined. The only security you are going to have is more from the sales and marketing, maybe from the customer experience perspective. But in general, those organizations don't necessarily follow as much security practices as you are going to have inside your finance and operations. The data is not as confidential. Financial data, operational data is going to be slightly more confidential. So here, the major need is going to be from the ERP security perspective. But again, that's probably not going to be available in this case. So now we are in 2010. So here we have one more announcement. ServiceMax today announced ServiceMax Titanium, providing small manufacturers and service-based businesses a revolutionary new way of automating their field service organizations. Here they are talking about a pre-configured version of ServiceMax and Salesforce Service Cloud 2 to create ServiceMax Titanium. So they are talking about they have ServiceMax Service Cloud 2 plus ServiceMax. So they have both of them, which is very interesting. So number one, you need to buy the licenses for both, which is going to be very, very, very expensive. So you are buying for CRM, you are buying for Service Cloud, you are buying for what else from the Salesforce perspective. The Service Cloud is going to have very different licensing. So here you are buying both of them. So from the cost perspective, it's going to be very expensive, but also from the integration perspective, it's going to be equally challenging. So here they are talking about industry leading CRM features with best in class field service capabilities and industry best practices to help companies rethink field services. Again, I can see some use cases where this is going to be relevant, but again, the integration is probably going to be very challenging, as well as it's probably going to be expensive. So if you have need for the best of breed capabilities inside your organization, then something like this would make sense. Then some more commentary here. So they are saying full entitlement tracking on all equipment under warranty or service contracts. Again, very, very, very tricky process, just because you need to bring all of that data, real-time complete access to all relevant customer and contractual information that allows companies to ensure they meet each individual customer's needs while maximizing service revenues. Again, that's much heavier lift because you don't necessarily have the financial data, so the state is probably not going to be as accurate, but obviously they are trying to do something. So they are claiming that you might be able to do the revenue optimization, but it's going to be really, really hard. Then they are talking about advanced scheduling and workforce optimization. This might be possible just because this is a very siloed function related to field service, so it's not going to be as challenging. Optimize the schedules of any number of technicians with a click of a button and without any additional IT resource investment. This is a very similar pitch as your service power, so you should be able to do that. That's probably not going to be a problem. Inventory and part logistics, complete logistics and reverse logistics for organizations whose field operations include parts movement functions and depot repair activities. Manage infinite locations of spare parts inventories, including when stock and inventory depots. Again, this is very interesting. Okay, so if you are going to have WMS, you are probably going to run into a lot of challenges, because if you are maintaining your vans here, then I don't know how this is going to overlap or correlate with your WMS architecture, or how this is going to overlap or correlate with your ERP architecture, because you are going to have some of this there as well. So when you have so many different systems, the architecture becomes very, very, very difficult. So here what you are doing is they are saying this is complete logistics, but it is not complete logistics, because the only thing you are doing is you are doing this more from the spare part perspective as well as from the field service perspective. But the logistics is going to have many, many, many different layers that is probably going to reside inside your TMS, WMS, depending upon whether you have those in your architecture or not. The part movement, again, if you're keeping this much state inside this, then I don't know how this is going to correlate with your ERP if you are doing manufacturing inside ERP. But again, depending upon whether you have manufacturing in your architecture or not, whether you are doing manufacturing or not, that would be my concern. I'll keep moving here. So now we are in 2012. Here they are saying today ServiceMax, the award-winning creators of the first and only complete suite of cloud-based collaborative and mobile field service applications, announced the record 185% increase in bookings for the fiscal year ending. So they did well, obviously, but keep in mind this is in 2012, and at that time we didn't really have as many cloud applications. Now a lot of ERP systems. So in 2012, Acumatica didn't exist. NetSuite was just starting, so it wasn't there. NetSuite probably they started in 2008 or something, right, Andy?
Around there.
Right. In for sort of was getting there. They were sort of getting the first taste of cloud. Epico didn't have any cloud back then. SAP was behind. Oracle didn't have any cloud. So in 2012, you didn't have as many options. Okay, that's why
That's
this
right.
was so hot. Now in 2024, it's a different story. Now you have a lot of ERP vendors which have very comparable, capabilities. So here, and that's probably the reason why they were really hot. Now, increased customer base by more than 70 to 150. So one point to note here is the number of customers. So for the most part, they are dealing with the enterprise customers here, and just because the number is fewer, and this is really meant to be slightly more enterprise solution. More than a dozen Fortune 500 companies, they have stated very clearly, and they are saying 97% customer retention rate. Again, in 2012, I can see why this would be such a high retention rate. And they are talking about they have raised what, roughly $14 million in series C funding. So obviously it was really hot, and they had very international presence as well. So again, this is for very global companies where you are going to have field service presence in many countries. And for the most part, when you look at the CRM play for Salesforce, one of the reasons why Salesforce was so hot in the medical device space is because of its CPQ capabilities, those regulated workflows. When you have to host those inside your CRM, Salesforce was probably the only solution that could do that. And that's why Salesforce was really hot in the medical device space. So that's why ServiceMax is hot in the medical device space as well. Okay, so they have ServiceMax now through simple drag and drop functionality. Field service technicians are guided through the service process, ensuring a consistent level of service on every work order. And again, this is a very, I would say, the workflow automation scenarios. Go ahead, Andy. You had a comment?
Yeah, sorry, Sam. I just did a little research on some of my files, and it seems like NetSuite was founded in 1998.
1998, and
Yeah.
Oracle acquired in 2008, I guess. Is that?
I think that's what. Yes, I
Yeah.
think
So Oracle
Oracle
acquired in
acquired them
2008.
yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So basically, what you are saying is NetSuite and Salesforce, they started about the same time. But for the most part, NetSuite, even today, they don't have field service capabilities. They just announced in 2024, okay, that they are introducing field service capabilities. So now they are probably going to have very lean capabilities, what your ServiceMax is going to do. So even if you have cloud native systems, they didn't have field service capabilities, with the only exception of Acumatica. Acumatica is the only one that had field service capabilities in your cloud native systems. Now, obviously, IFS has that for the enterprise, use cases. They are probably cloud native as well. So here with ServiceMax in HTML5, companies and their field service technicians have the liberty to use any mobile devices on any platform, and I think that's where the real strength is. But in 2012, you didn't have any of the workflow automation tools. So, for example, and Andy, if you have any sense of these dates, please tell me. But my understanding is going to be that ServiceNow wasn't there in 2012. Monday.com wasn't there in 2012. BoomyFlow wasn't there in 2012. So none of the workflow automation categories, they exist in 2012. So that's why these guys had to do a lot of heavy lifting from the workflow automation perspective as well. But now in 2024, it's a different story. Here they are talking about ServiceMax simplifies the entire contracts and the billing process by automating everything from entitlement checks to invoicing. Come on, you are going to do invoicing in this. It's going to be interesting if you're doing invoicing in this. Okay, so again, if you are going to be in a spaces where you are probably doing this on top of QuickBooks or Sage, then it might be okay. You don't have a real ERP play, but doing invoicing in this could be challenging in my mind. Now you have one more layer there with respect to billing process. Especially in these spaces, you are going to have flavors of subscription billing. So you had an isolated component called Zora. They did a lot of subscription billing, but then architecture could be extremely challenging and tricky. If you try to introduce Zora, they are going to do your subscription billing. These guys are going to do your field service. Then you have ERP, then you have CRM. Too many systems, too many moving parts in your architecture. It could become very challenging. Okay, so I'll keep moving here. 2013, here we have, they did what, 15 new medical device providers, including world's largest independent medical technology companies, and these are medical device companies, companies such as your Stryker. Those are going to be the companies that are probably using this. A Fortune 10 industrial products manufacturer that choose ServiceMax for 5 of its divisions. So these are industrial products manufacturer. My take on this is going to be these are going to be primarily engineered to order industry 4.0 company, robotics companies. Those must be the ones that might be using this. Two of the largest consumer products companies in the world, even though they are calling consumer products, but my take on this is going to be probably something like HVAC. Those products are going to be slightly more expensive, not really your CPG products, I guess. Okay, the global leader in security and fire suppression equipment. And again, this is where you have a little overlap with your technology company, and these are going to be your hardware companies, electronics companies, plus they have the field service play. So they have very unique processes as well. That's why they are going to be so prevalent in the Salesforce ecosystem. And then global leader in the energy transmission and monitoring. Again, energy transmission and monitoring, very unique beast. Okay, for them in general, IFS has major market share there. Salesforce always had major market share. Oracle had major market share in that because they are not probably the core ERP industries. And then three of the world's largest manufacturer of office equipment. Office equipment space is very interesting as well, just because you get into this whole traditional IT space. You are talking about companies such as your Xeroxes of the world, Ricos of the world. Okay, those companies are very different, even though they might have manufacturing footprint. But for them, the field service play is very, very critical, just because that is going to be their major revenue driver. So
exactly, and equipment manufacturing, of course, like a lot of equipment, you're maintaining them on a consistent basis. So that's a huge revenue stream for these companies.
And there's another layer, Andy. Equipment could mean a lot of different things. Here they are talking about office equipment. Office equipment, and generally office equipments are going to be connected with the internet, so they are going to have very different processes. So here the best way to think about this is going to be your printers, because now you have things such as your managed print services. Companies such as HP is going to be in this business. And and I don't know, Andy, what you use for your printer right now. But they have the managed services offering, meaning the moment your ink is going to be over, HP is going to send right away. All of the printing companies, they have moved in that business model. That's the kind of customer experience that you are talking about. You are never going to get that from your ERP system. Right, so that's where these guys have a real play, because they are trying to enable something that was never possible. So these are very interesting and different use cases as well as the business models. The world's only configured iPad app designed specifically for field service. And again, in 2013, they may be the only one, but that may not be true in 2024. Service parts and revenue logistics designed to meet the needs of companies with complex distributed service supply chains. And I don't know how capable IFS is, especially in their mobility capabilities, but that's where I guess they will have overlap with IFS, because IFS is winning a lot of enterprise logos in this space. They have a lot of logos in the office equipment space. They might do a little bit in medical device, not so much, I would say. They are going to be really, really big into that MRO space when you are going to have these big aircrafts, etc. But they are not necessarily, they have some presence in the office equipment, but not as much. Advanced contracts and billing, which helps companies maximize their service contract revenue. And here in these spaces, especially when you look at telco, communication, energy, they have very different CPQ workflows, contract workflows. The processes are going to be very different. In energy, you have challenges such as your utility billing. There are only few companies in the market that really have the utility billing capabilities. For example, Oracle has that. SAP used to have, but I don't know if they still have any their SAP S/4HANA solution. I don't know who else can do that. Infor, I don't know how well they are doing with their. They have a solution for which, they claim that they have utility billing, but I don't know how successful that is.
For what purpose, Sam?
Do you know utility billing process by any chance in the energy industry?
Utility billing process. So you mean subscriptions?
This is more than subscription. So Andy, the way you get electricity in your home or gas in your home, typically you have a meter that is running,
so
that is
usage
consuming.
Is all part of the formula
Billing cycle. So there are and this is in the residential space, right? So these are not businesses. So it's a very, very, very different process. It gets very complicated the way this works. And you have very different commercial agreements in this space because you have the OEMs who are kind of supplying the energy, and that is being distributed, transmitted. So you have rules around transmission. It's just a nightmare.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Uh,
I'll bet the old EAM product could probably handle that.
EM was primarily asset management. They were not into the billing scenario, I would say.
No?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. The asset management itself is very complex. Yeah. I believe the Infor public sector solution is probably going to have that. They have some business there. They don't do a lot, but they have some business. So this is in 2014. ServiceMax announced ServiceMax links for Service Power as part of it. So this is the collaboration between your Service Power and ServiceMax. So this is the links offering, and they are trying to collaborate there. ServiceMax adds best-in-class workforce optimization capabilities to its end-to-end field service product through the integration with Service Power, the world's most powerful scheduling optimization engine. So Service Power was really powerful. This Service Power is the first integration for ServiceMax's new integration framework. ServiceMax links built on ServiceMax's revolutionary Infinity framework. Links opens the company's software to a host of solutions that will make field service organizations of all sizes and in all verticals smarter against sales pitch. Some more comments here: a world-class optimization engine paired with the best end-to-end field service solution in the cloud. Every time a technician, yeah, not much there. Gonna skip that. This is another announcement coming from Aptus. Kennedy and ServiceMax today announced the formation of Force United. So these are all companies I believe that were on top of your on Salesforce. So Kennedy, I believe, was the PSA solution. Now that
Andy.
Kennedy,
Yeah.
Kennedy, okay, Kennedy. Yeah, sorry, I'm reading it wrong. Yeah, Kennedy. But this is different, I guess. What is Kennedy, Andy, in your experience?
Well, it's one of the it's a manufacturing system, but it's fairly entry level. It leverages the Rootstock suite and Salesforce suite.
Interesting. And I assume that this is not the old name for Rootstock, because Rootstock also had a name before.
Completely different, but
Yeah.
it does leverage the two products, and I believe there's ownership involved as well.
Interesting. So yeah, so there is some collaboration happening here. So the consortium's mission is to accelerate customer success, simplify adoption. Okay, again, sales pitch, but they were trying to go together, I guess, in the market. Do I have anything else here? I don't see anything else.
The last sentence of your next paragraph, it mentions service scheduling, artificial intelligence-based algorithms, self-learning capabilities, and M2M connected service provide the best solution. What does M2M stand for?
So that's going to be machine to machine, and that's where your Industry 4.0,
gotcha.
that's where your Industry 4.0 layer is coming in.
Right.
Yeah, so these guys probably have that. So here they also have ServiceMax links also integrates with QuickBooks. Again, you have the enterprise play, but then you are integrating with QuickBooks. So again, in my mind, that is just off. Used in particular, but there are companies that are going to have very sophisticated service flows, but they might still use QuickBooks because from Salesforce's perspective, ERP is all accounting and financial reporting, but ERP is a lot more than that. So these companies, they don't necessarily understand what a real ERP is. Used in particular by the small to medium-sized business sector to create a seamless sync of work orders to invoices, resulting in faster billing and faster time to revenue. Again, too much going on there for the most part. The ServiceMax's role is going to be just the field service.
Interesting description, drip feed scheduling.
Yeah, and they are talking about which focuses on getting new work orders to technicians on a just-in-time schedule, and that's how they are defining it, and that's a very unique business model. I think it's very similar to your just-in-time inventory, but here, and that could be a very unique process as well. I mean, that could be from the customer experience perspective. In a telco, you are probably going to require that. In some spaces, you are probably going to require that. So that's a very interesting workflow. Okay, so some more comments here. What's the time right now? 2:48. So this is also from 2014. ServiceMax has become the industry's first service automation solution to be designed as a service capacity and performance. So SCP standards, compliant automation solution awarded by San Diego-based Service Strategies Corporation, the global administrator of SCP standards program, in cooperation with its what is that European partner, Noventum Service Management. The designation was presented during the ServiceMax live event. So I don't know what's going on here. There's something, some compliance, and I have never seen these standards. So maybe somebody is introducing those. I don't know if government is mandating these. Maybe they are probably going to be relevant in the public sector space, because you have to meet your SLA. Maybe in utility energy, you're probably going to have that, but I personally have not seen that before. I don't know about you, Andy, if you have
No,
seen
I
that.
haven't, but it sounds like this Noventum Service Management is a European partner of theirs. Is that how I'm reading that?
No, so they have two different agencies here. So they are working with Noventum, but the US agency is different, right? So US agency, it says that um, see, awarded by San Diego-based Service Strategies Corporation is going to be the US counterpart, and the Noventum is going to be European counterpart. The global administrator of the SAP Standards Program in cooperation. So they are working together. For Europe, Noventum is going to do that. For US, Service Strategies is going to do that. What else? Okay, so here we have some examples of the companies that have to adopt this. So for the most part, I guess that this is probably going to be relevant in the medical device space, because that's where you have a lot more regulations. So the companies that have adopted this are Advent Software, and I don't know, I don't have background on Advent. What kind of software are they building? Andy, do you have any background? Are they more into medical device software space, or there is a
I'm sorry, Sam. I've never heard them, so I'm not sure.
yeah, but see, the third one is going to be the most shocking for you, Andy, because we have Apicor here. so,
Yeah.
so Apicor has, incorporated, and I don't know whether these service standards are mandated. I don't know in which industry they mandate, but if Apicor is doing it, Apicor does not even have a lot of market share in the field service patches, but for some products, they must have utilized this. I don't know, maybe for medical device spaces, there is a possibility Apicor
Well,
does have.
Epicor purchased a field service system about 3-4 years ago. It just hasn't integrated into the Kinetic product,
So
but it's
that's the
supposed to.
that's the kinetic play, and I this is in
Oh, okay.
2014, so this is definitely not.
Well, before that, yes. Okay, gotcha.
So here they have listed Apicor, but this must be for either Bistrack, Lumbertrack, or
Yes, one
some
of
of
those.
those products. I guess it's definitely not kinetic. And then they have Bobst Group, and I don't know what Bobst Group is. Never heard of them. Fresenius is a large medical device companies. You have Xerox, again, office equipment, McKesson.
Yeah.
Uh,
Bob, help me see where that is on the screen. Oh, yeah.
this one,
Oh, Bob.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it was something else, but no, I don't know that.
Yeah, so McKesson is going to be your hospital distribution, pharma distribution, medical device distribution. So again, in the medical device space, then you have Schneider Electric, which is also electrical distribution. Teradata Corporation, which is your database company, I guess. They have, so seems like in the professional services space, they have to adopt these standards. With approximately 200 participating organizations, so must be the Fortune 500 play, I guess, and over 1,500 certification audits performed worldwide. The SCP standards represent the most widely adopted service quality program available today. So there's somebody working on this. There's a very enterprise-centric problem, not SMB related, but this is very interesting. The IT domain, for the most part, I think this is going to be in the IT domain. Designated compliant as part of the ServiceMax review include break fix, preventive maintenance, e-services, professional services projects, simple and medium-sized installations, service contracts, warranty management, SLAs, work order management, assignment and monitoring, planning and scheduling, mobile field service, e-service, customer portal, installed base management, partner management, field service, engineer, supply chain management. Again, there's a lot going on there, but again, this seems to be more of the IT centric problem in my mind. Okay, some more comments here. So here we are talking about 140 new customers, ranged in size from a small business to large global enterprises.
40,000 field technicians.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. That's the kind of scale that we are talking about. So obviously, in this space, I think the only comparison that you're going to have is probably IFS,
Totally.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Additionally, the company saw over 300 customers expand their usage of ServiceMax, including Alberta hardwood flooring. And I don't know why hardwood flooring company would use them. That's going to be a very interesting architecture, I would say.
Well,
uh,
yeah, well, hardwood flooring, I guess installing it as a service, right?
you could be right, but I mean, yeah. So they have a very. You are right. So they are going to have very thick field service process there. But then most of the flooring companies, I mean, they are going to be very strong in the manufacturing as well, right? And the configure to order processes.
It depends
Yeah.
because commonly the manufacturer is somebody else, and then they have retail stores that include the service, right?
Exactly. So I think that's a great layer, the one that you mentioned, Andy. So that's how I guess people should be differentiating. So when you look at in the hardwood space as well, if you have pure play field service, then this could make sense. If you are manufacturer, then you have to go for the ERP architecture, I guess. Then you have General Electric. You have Helio Power. Again, very, very, very different space. Schneider Electric, again, Varian Medical Systems, again, very capital equipment centric. And then you have Wireless Works, very
Variant medical systems. They're in Ontario.
so they are owned by Siemens now. I mean that they are like
Are they?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
multi-billion dollar organization. Yeah.
No, I
Um,
just recognize them as they're an Infor customer in Ontario, but maybe they've been acquired since then.
they have N4 ERP. I don't know whether I think they have M3 or LN.
No,
Uh,
it's Cloud Suite.
uh,
Industrial CSI.
CSI. Okay, so they used to be very SAP shop.
So they've been acquired by somebody, have they?
Varian has been acquired by Siemens. They were
By
pure play,
Siemens. Wow.
yeah, pure play SAP shop before. I don't know if right now if they have N4 to be completely honest.
Yeah, maybe not. Once you get acquired, all bets are off, right?
No. Before acquisition as well, because Tom Rodden he participated in a lot of WBS
Oh,
forum,
okay.
and he used to be the CIO.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so here, okay, so some more customers, including Care Fusion, very large medical device company. IMA, Merrill, Sky Italia is a very interesting company as well. Again, that is more my understanding of their business model is going to be their communication satellite, right, Andy? Sky,
I don't know them at all. What you
huh?
think the communication satellite? Do you?
That would be my guess. I'm not too sure.
I'll have a look while we're chatting here.
Yeah. What else do we have here? So they are doing some partnership here. So new partners include Entity, Center Stance, and Aperio. Aperio was very large shop in the Salesforce ecosystem. So obviously there is a little bit of collaboration there. They have roughly 250 certified ServiceMax implementation consultants worldwide, which is not very large. I would say in the Salesforce ecosystem because it's really big. So they have some more.
It's
They
a
are into
satellite television platform.
yeah, television content. I mean, we have some more comments here.
Yeah.
Sky PLC television content, and Sky Italia has 4.74 million consumer and carries out more than 1 million service visits a year. So this is going to be more of the cable service play, and that makes sense. That it would make sense for cable customers to have this. Okay, so we have 3 minutes in the show, Andy. I don't know if you're going to have comment. I think that's it for the slides.
The product looks very robust. Here we go. Exactly installing this with service for hardwood flooring. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, the software, the system looks very robust, and it doesn't surprise me with its success and growth.
Yeah, so this is a great comment. He's saying that exactly installing that is a service for hardwood flooring. So yeah, that is right. That's why they would be there. One more comment: ServiceMax is quite famous in medtech. He's right.
Okay.
Come,
Just like you said.
SAP FS and Salesforce FSL. I would say initially, I mean, they didn't have Salesforce FSL, and I don't know if that is a real competition. But right now, Salesforce has developed these capabilities in-house just because they are competing with Microsoft in the CRM play as well. Yeah. So great comments. Any more comments from your side?
No, that's it looks like a very impressive product.
Yeah, it's definitely impressive. So if you don't have anything else, so that's it for today. If you joined for the first time, this was part of our industry series for which we meet every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you guys are going to be here. Next week, we are going to come back with another solution or the vendor. On that note, thank you everybody for tuning in.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.